Good evening and welcome.
Good evening. Mr. Chairman, members of the Judiciary Committee, I'm so glad to be here and that you have offered this opportunity for us to give you our feelings, our thoughts about this very important, although extremely divisive issue dealing with the legislation SB 38 and SB 708. My name is Caroline Stouffer. I live in East Greenwich, Rhode Island. I am pleased to report that our town has 2 senators, both of whom serve on this committee. So I'm doubly pleased to be here. I am also a former Massachusetts legislator. A happy transplant here to Rhode Island, I must say. And I had the privilege, it seems like 100 years ago, I think it was only probably 35 or 38 that I voted on legislation dealing with marriage equality in Massachusetts House. It didn't pass. We had to wait for the Supreme Court decision for that to pass, but it did go back to the legislature, which reaffirmed the law, I'm happy to say. Although I am now in Rhode Island, and I'm sad to say that Rhode Island has not followed that suit. There's one thing that I want to say. I do recognize the process of making legislation. It's familiar to me. It's often compared to making sausage. You've heard that, I'm sure. But one ingredient that should never be included is discrimination. Discrimination comes in many forms. And by the way, legislation can also be called black and blue legislation. Maybe you've heard that expression also. It means that everybody gets a little bruised in the process. Everybody gets kicked in the shins a bit. But there is compromise. We work it out. One of the favorite people in my lifetime was Father Drinan, a congressman from Massachusetts, who was a Jesuit, but often said he had to resolve the difference between his own personal philosophy and the fact that he was representing a diverse, extraordinarily diverse group of people in his congressional district. He ended up voting both pro-choice and pro-gay marriage, and unfortunately he was ordered out of Congress by his order, which he obeyed, to his credit. But alas, we lost a very fine congressman from Massachusetts. Bill SB 708 is a total distraction. It's not going to be voted on. It's not going to come to be. It's not going to be passed. We know that. I don't think we probably should even use it, talk about it. It's a distraction, and it is certainly a license to discriminate. I hope you reject it totally. And by the by, I'm going to maybe shock some people here. I'm a politician, but I'm not wishy-washy. And I am shocked a little bit that I thought I was coming to a government agency hearing, not a church sermon or a Sunday school lecture. Much as I appreciate some of the information that I've heard tonight, I do not think it is appropriate that we discuss something as important as this in the context of who believes what and what faith is. Religion should never be a factor in determining public policy. I think that, I don't want to say I'm shocked, but I am shocked that this evening all we heard was that kind of testimony. I want to talk about a little bit about discrimination. Discrimination comes in many, many forms. Some of us here have lived with discrimination all our lives. I was born female. And I have faced discrimination in various forms. I'm pretty assertive, so you try to overcome it. But it's there, it's still there in the workplace particularly, where there are discrepancies in salary and promotions. Discrimination is easy to identify if you can see that somebody has a different color of skin, or if they're female versus male, or if they're disabled. If we have white hair, there is ageism, and we need to counteract ageism. And handicapped. The handicapped have had a difficult time facing discrimination. Some discrimination is not so easy to identify. Gay folks look just like us, straight folks. You can't see them and say, that's a gay person. So it's easy to justify, harder to combat, because you cannot see it. And I'm distressed about that, because I don't think we should be writing discrimination into any of our laws. Our country has matured in many ways. We've moved away from laws against mixed marriage, laws that discriminate against the disabled. We have now protections, certainly for ageism. But I was sorry to hear some people say that marriage is only for the propagation of a race. It's true, I have children, and I've been married for 58 years. But if my husband, who is ill, were to die and I might want to marry again, would that be not something I should do because I'm old and cannot have children anymore? I do not think we should talk about it only in terms of propagation. By the way, in Vermont, just recently, the Vermont House passed, voted to require that out-of-state companies that already provide health benefits to spouses of opposite-sex employees now must offer it to employees who have same-sex spouses. Vermont legalized gay marriage in 2005. Excuse me, 2009, beg pardon, Massachusetts in 2004. And I know somebody mentioned U.S. Senator Rob Portman. Rob Portman, the Republican from Ohio, was one of the original co-sponsors of the Defense of Marriage Act, the DOMA. And he has now come full circle around, and he has changed his position. He is now in support of gay marriage because, yes, he recognized his son, whom he loved. But we don't have to wait until we have a family member come out or that we have a close friend. We can do the right thing now. That's why I'm urging you to pass Senate Bill 38. And by the way, I hope you've all heard the news. Yesterday, one of the most influential groups dealing with child development and child care, doctors, the American Academy of Pediatrics, came out in favor of gay marriage. A very, very influential group, and they certainly know about child development. There are some interesting statistics in polls that have just been taken. The ABC, I beg your pardon, the Washington Post ABC News program has come out with a new poll showing that 56% now of all Americans support gay marriage. Only 34 oppose it. But it's not just, we should not just be looking at the numbers today. What we should be looking at is the trend, because 4 years ago...
I'm going to ask if you can start to
sure.
Wrap it up, please.
Sure. As I said, I've been married for 58 years. I have a gay daughter. She has never been discriminated against because, like me, she's pretty assertive. But the fact is, and she doesn't care to marry. But if she did, I would want to support her. And I hope that she doesn't live in Rhode Island now, she might be coming back. And I do hope that you will do the right and fair thing, that we will offer compassion to those who only want to love and support each other. And so I hope and pray you will support Senate Bill 38. Thank you very much.
Are there any questions or comments for this witness? Senator Raptakis.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to welcome Carolyn Stouffer. She's not only my constituent, but also a member of my Senate District Committee, and she's been here since 12 o'clock, and she's done an excellent job.
No, 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock.
Actually, before 10 o'clock. I was here at 10:15.
10 o'clock, 10 a.m.
I have a hard butt.
I think a lot of people have been here for a long, long time today, and we still have a lot of witnesses left.
Right.
Senator Hotchkiss.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd also just like to welcome a friendly face from the East Greenwich polls.
Thank you very much.
Senator
Just a
Archibald.
quick comment, Carolyn. I'm always humbled by your rhetoric and the way you speak, and I'm a huge fan, and please keep coming to testify. Always impressed with you.
We love him. We love him, too. I love the two senators here, and I love him, too,
Always
even though he's
impressed
not my
with you.
senator.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next group of witnesses.